I'm very happy to introduce LaTasha Earley to you. She is the founder of Selah Theater Project. It's been in existence, I believe, close to 6 years now, and it has been bringing education to the younger arts community as well as productions. They are in a new location, which she will tell you about, but as I said earlier with my happy dollar, this is a gem right here, and I just really am thrilled because I'm guessing, has anybody here not heard of Selah Theater Project? That's good, because a lot of people don't. As a former business owner in 20 years in Strasbourg, when I retired, people were like, oh, I didn't know that business was in town. So that's why I asked. So without further ado, LaTasha, if you would come up and share your knowledge of Selah Theater Project. And she's also a magnificent actress and singer, too. So, yes, you are. You're welcome.
So I was going to sit down and write out everything, but you know, if you found the company, you should probably know it like the back of your hand. So I do. So I do, because it's been my arm, my hand since 2011. So I want to just give you a little bit of history of Selah Theater Project, about where we came from and where we are now. And so we started in 2011, and by we, I really mean me. I had left my preschool director position. I had a brand new 4-year-old at the age of 24. I adopted my son, and we were working 60 hours a week. And I was like, ooh, this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work with a brand new kiddo. So I left that position and decided to pursue my passion of theater. I went to Shenandoah University for theater. I went to a performing arts high school in Norfolk, Virginia before I moved up here to Winchester. And I was like, wow, this is a great opportunity for me to do something that I love to do and still be able to support my family. So I became a contractor up and down the East Coast, contracting with Parks and Recs, contracting with private organizations teaching dramatic arts to ages 3 all the way up to 18. In 2011, I came over to Warren County and started my contract with Warren County Parks and Rec. And in 2012, that contract had ended. I started teaming up with Tap Etc. and their first space over what was that? Winery on 23rd. 23rd, I forget the address, there's that. But I teamed up with Tap Etc. and Tap Etc. decided that they wanted to expand their program in 2014 and asked me to find my own space. In 2014, I went to the parents of 20 students that I had from a previous production that I had done in Warren County, and I said, well, it looks like I'm going to have to leave Warren County. And they said, why? And I said, because I don't have space to teach anymore. And they said, we'll find you space. And they did. So we moved to 8th Street, right beside the Naughty Pine, in between the Naughty Pine and the Killing Doctor, right behind the Wendy's. There was a storage unit behind us. So we had an unconventional space to turn into a small black box theater. And we were able to have a 50-seater house. And we were able to start our very first community theater program for young people, which was Once Upon a Pandora's Box, where we have 14 youth, ages 8 all the way up to 15. And that group, believe it or not, they have already graduated from high school. The youngest in that group, they just left. We had 12 high school graduates this past May that graduated and moved on. So they've been with me the whole time I've been here in Warren County. So they are my heart, and they also brought in new hearts for me to have. So in 2014, we opened up with Once Upon a Pandora's Box. We heavily focused on dramatic arts education for ages 3 to 18. The first summer event that we had, we decided to do a camp where we devised new theater, which basically means that you get a group of actors together, and you create a new theatrical piece, something original, something that hasn't been published or written before. I started with 6 girls, 6 teenage girls to write It's Not Easy Being a Teen. It was my very first devised piece with teenagers. I've done devised pieces with younger kids. We did fairy tale mashups, where you take 2 different fairy tales, you put them together, and you create a brand new plot, like Frozen and Alice in Wonderland. We called it Frozen and Oz. Frozen and Wonderland. So you take 2 different fairy tales and you create a new plot. I was used to doing that. I've written over 65 of those with different campers and with different kids that I've taught over the years. So this was the first camp where it was just teenagers. And they wanted to write a play about all the perspectives that, as adults, we may have of them, and then, of course, their perspective of what's really happening with them. It was their first piece that they were able to be themselves. They had an open canvas, or an open stage, as you will, to say what they wanted to say. So we talked about certain issues. We talked about drug abuse. We talked about suicide, which was one of the focal points of the piece. And after they were done with our opening showcase, the parents could not believe that their kids had written this piece. It was complex, it was very complicated, but it was very mature. It was a way for them to say, hey, this is something that we're dealing with, this is something that we're going through, and we need you to see it through our eyes. With that, we opened up a huge can of worms. So where I started with 6 kids in 2014, this past summer I had 22 kids, and my cap was 20, and I had to let the other 2 in because I couldn't say no. And I teach that class by myself, but this year we had 2 interns, 2 college interns that both go to LFCC that came in and helped, and 1 intern from Old Dominion University that came in and helped. Which made it a huge success this year with the 22 kids. I wasn't by myself on that. Each summer, they spend 3 weeks with me, Monday through Friday, the Monday after Warren County gets out of school, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. to devise an original piece. This year was our 5th summer doing that. And this year, they created a piece called No Vacancy. And it's not about a hotel or a motel, I promise you. It's actually about a playwright who has a disorder called dissociative identity disorder. How do you incorporate a play with 22 kids with 1 central theme, and it's a brand new original piece? So we decided to have a playwright who has DID, and she has 18 personalities. That's how we got away with it. So each kid represented a different type of personality, and then we have 2 other kids who play just real humans in her real world. That piece was a huge success. The teenagers now have a groupie following. Mary Ruth is definitely one of those groupies that come to see everything and anything that they do. We sold out in that showcase time period. They sold out, they couldn't believe it. And then we had a huge request to do more, to showcase this show again. The show is worthy of being seen again. Please do it again. So they just closed last weekend showcasing No Vacancy again, and was able to raise $1,200 towards their trip to Norfolk, Virginia in October, where they will be competing that piece, No Vacancy. We will be the only community theater high school program represented at the Virginia Theater Association High School Theater Festival. And they will be competing, representing Warren County. We will be the only school in this region, or the only program in this region that will be going to that Virginia statewide competition. And they are raising funds for that, and so they were very happy to raise $1,200 in 1 weekend from an original piece that they had created. This is what we do with the teenagers. We keep them busy, we keep them active, but through theater. We give them an open canvas. We let them create. We do community theater with them as well. Last October, they did the Laramie Project. Most people came up to me and said, why would you do such a hard piece? That piece is about the death of Matthew Shepard back in 20 years, so 1998. 20 years ago, this October, Matthew Shepard was killed and left for dead in Laramie, Wyoming. A team from New York, Tectonic Theater Project, came down and decided to interview the town about their aftermath of this death, because it was a huge, huge political, media, and religious wave that came through their town. So our students performed that play last October. Really tough piece. They had 16 ensemble members playing 52 different characters. They had to switch in and out of different personas and different real-life people using their real-life words. Tough piece. But when you were done watching the piece, you couldn't believe that they were teenagers acting. all you saw were actors, and all you had after that was a great story and a conversational piece about how we can better impact our community regarding the LGBT community. This year they are doing the Diviners, which is another tough piece, but my kids like tough pieces, so I gave them to them. So they have the Diviners coming up. They also, in November, they're also preparing for VTAs, which is in October. And we also host 3 teams for Destination Imagination as well. Last year, we took 3 teams to Destination Imagination, the regional. We were the only Warren County team. The high schools and the elementary schools used to do it around here, but they stopped doing it because of funding. So Selah Theater Project decided to bring it in as part of our programming. We had 3 teams go to regionals at Hanley High School, 2 moved on to states in Richmond, and 1 moved on to globals in Knoxville, Tennessee. And they placed 38 out of 64. And we were very proud of that. They had a great experience. They got to get out of Warren County. They got to get out of the state, and they got to meet with other kids who thought like them, who were like them, who were, we call them theater dorks, who were theater dorks just like them, who loved what they did, and who did everything they possibly could to participate. The beauty of Selah Theater Project is that we have a huge socio-economic dynamic. We have kids that come from well-to-do families, where their families are heavily involved, and we have kids whose parents don't even know where they are when they come to the theater, that aren't as involved. But the beauty of this ensemble that comes in, they soak in any new kid that comes in, first of all. There's no clique happening in there. They're all theater dorks. And they're all there for one purpose and for one reason only, which is to be able to tell stories in their community as actors and to be able to grow in their craft. That is the beauty of Selah Theater Project. That's one side of it. That's just the kid side of it. We have the adult side of it as well. We do community theater projects. We host 6 shows in a season. We are hosting 4 shows just this fall season, and then we have 3 more, so we added 1 for our spring season. And they are all adult community actors that come in and perform with us, from adults who have never performed before to adults who have worked professionally, took a break, and needed a new space, a new outlet to come through. Right now we are in rehearsal for Fences, which is a huge pioneering take on, especially here in Warren County. We have theaters in DC, Maryland, West Virginia, and Pennsylvania watching our little 50-seater theater in Warren County, because we are the only theater to tackle on August Wilson's Fences, which stars an all African American cast. Most community theaters, most theater groups do not really push for different actors of color productions or calling for actors of color leads because they're afraid that people won't come out for it. Well, we have a great cast that come as far as Newmarket to be a part of this production here in Warren County. August Wilson Foundation is very well aware of us in Pittsburgh, and we're going to have one of their representatives coming to Warren County to do a talk back with our Fences cast and our audience for that evening. That goes up on September 21st. So we're here for the adults as well. We closed our season last year with Barefoot in the Park by Neil Simon, which was a lot of fun. And we were asked to do it again at the Skyline Ranch Resort, which we did as a dinner theater, which was great. Great, hilarious. We have a great season every single year. Great community volunteers, great staff. My development director is a volunteer, and she puts in full time to push Selah Theater Project. We also have an intern from GMU who does a lot of our graphic work and upkeep for our website. Our parents are phenomenal with concessions and keeping the space clean, because Tasha doesn't have time for that. I literally am able to now walk into our new space on Kendrick Lane right next to the EDA and teach and direct and have no worries because of our volunteers and our staff. And it's absolutely incredible that the community has come together to bring the arts and really up the art scene here in Warren County. And that Warren County is on the map of quite a few prestigious theater communities that you are not aware of because of Selah Theater Project and because of the input from this community. That's me. Any questions?